I'm watching Jersey Shore for the first time, and I'm on season 3. I just have the reunion left, and then the season is done. And I've learned a lot watching this show because there's so much you can pick up on human nature by watching people in their most primitive state of hoeing and fucking. And what I've noticed from the guys on this show, especially Mike, Vinny, and Paulie, MVP, is that men will not give you even the slightest bit of niceness if they don't want to sleep with you. They go around calling women grenades simply because they don't find them attractive. They'll ignore women, they'll humiliate them, or they'll bring them to their house and then sober up a little bit and then realize they don't want to sleep with them and then kick them out. So they use their physical attraction to a woman as a gauge of whether or not they're going to receive basic niceness and respect from them. Now, men will fuck a rotisserie chicken, so it's not like the bar is set very high. However, sometimes we need to learn a lesson or two from these barbarians because we live in a society where men wrote the rules. So sometimes the easiest thing we need to do is to look at their behavior, find a way to adapt it to ourselves, and use that to get success. We're just taught the opposite. We think it's the opposite because we've been groomed to be nice and we've been groomed for extraction. And you can see how predatory that is. And that is the patriarchy at work because it turns women into resources and commodities for men to use, abuse, and discard. I'm just going to say it. Niceness is a form of grooming. And it's specifically a form of grooming girls. Because from the time we're little girls, we're socialized to be so many things with an asterisk. We can grow up and be ambitious, but not so much that we become intimidating to men. We should stand up for ourselves, but we shouldn't be assertive to the point of becoming bitches. And my personal favorite, which I hear all the time because I've been competing in powerlifting for almost 10 years.
You can go to the gym, but don't get too muscular. You'll end up looking like a man.
Everything we're told has an asterisk. It has a qualification at the end of it because we are groomed to be a certain way because it's more important to be liked than to be respected. So we're groomed to be nice at the cost of our dignity. And if you're a girly pop listening to this, chances are you're not mean enough. If niceness is a form of grooming, it is grooming you for extraction because a nice girl is more likely to give her time, her effort, her energy, her body. So when you're groomed to be nice, you're primed to have things extracted from you. And do you think people are going to respect you for that? No. They'll keep you around because they can use you, but they're not going to respect you. They'll like you, but their liking you is only conditional on what you can give them. So don't for 1 second think that because you're giving something to someone, that they're going to respect you for it. If anyone makes you believe that their respect is contingent upon you giving them something, then they are using you. And they're misleading you and they're lying to you because they want to get something out of you. Also, hello and welcome to all the new and returning bad bitches. I am your host, Nikki. I am the baddest bitch in the building, not to be confused with you, who is also the baddest bitch in the building. And this is the only show for the clever ladies who are looking to dismantle patriarchy in their own lives without exhausting themselves, and also by being a little bit clever and finding the system's loopholes that we can exploit while unlearning the ways that it's conditioned us to leak our power. And one of the ways we need to do that is by unlearning niceness. Now, if you are a recurring baddie, this might sound a little bit familiar because I did a girly law of power on this topic. That was number 27, Start Being Mean. So this is a little bit similar to that episode, but as you know, my girly laws of power follow a specific structure. So we're doing something a little bit different today. As a side note, I will be at the Confluence Creator Awards Gala in Toronto this week. I was nominated for a couple of awards. Unfortunately, your girl didn't become a finalist. However, I'm still going to go to the award ceremony. So if you're there and you see me, come and say hi. Earning someone's respect doesn't come from what you can give them. It comes from how you carry yourself. It comes from how you treat yourself, because no one is going to treat you better than the way you treat yourself. And people are going to look at you as a gauge. They're going to look at your behavior and the way you carry yourself and what you tolerate. They're going to use all that data as a way to gauge how much they can respect or disrespect you. They're looking at your behavior and at the way you carry yourself for cues on what they can get away with. So respect doesn't come from what you do for others or what you give others. It comes from how you carry yourself and ultimately how you respect yourself. We're just taught the opposite. We think it's the opposite because we've been groomed to be nice and we've been groomed for extraction. And you can see how predatory that is. And that is the patriarchy at work, because it turns women into resources and commodities for men to use, abuse, and discard. And in fact, niceness also grooms you for disrespect. Like I said, people don't respect the nice girl. In fact, they disrespect her. That's the thing, they disrespect you because if they're using you, they don't respect you. When you're nice right off the bat, do you know what signal that sends to other people? You're basically saying, you don't have to do anything to prove that you deserve my time and effort and energy. I'm gonna give you everything in the hopes that you see me worthy enough to get your validation. You're literally giving off desperate pick me energy. And if you think you're a bad bitch and you're going around being nice unnecessarily, then you're giving off the energy of a bum bitch. And that means that there's unresolved insecurity somewhere. Somewhere you gotta sit down and reflect with yourself and ask yourself some serious questions and understand what insecurity or insecurities are driving this. And it doesn't mean a mean girl has no insecurities, because we all have insecurities. I'm going to be real with you. I have a lot of insecurities. But we don't let those things drive us, drive our behavior and the way we carry ourselves out in the world. Forget everything you've heard about being nice. Because right off the bat, we need to make a distinction between being nice and being kind. So this is a basic definition from Google about what nice means. Nice describes someone who is polite and pleasant to be around, focusing on surface level interactions and social harmony. Kind describes someone who genuinely cares about others' well-being and acts with benevolence, often performing helpful, though sometimes difficult tasks that come from a place of empathy and concern for the individual. Niceness is a performative thing that we do. And when we're acting performative, like the performative woke men, the Delta men, if you listen to my episode about woke men, you'll know this term, another character unlocked. It's a performative thing to do. And what happens when you're putting up a performance for your whole life? You start cracking. You start having resentment. You start becoming victimella because you're living in an experience that was not chosen by you. You're acting a certain way, not because you want to or because it's going to lead to a goal, but because you've been groomed to be that way. And the problem that most nice women have is that when you are nice, the onus is on you to prove yourself to other people. Whereas when you're mean, the onus is on the other person to prove that they are worthy of your time. It's safe to say that niceness is a given. if you're in a social gathering, if you're at work, if you're interacting with a stranger, the bare minimum is to just be nice and respectful, right? However, most men will not even be nice to women they don't find attractive. Now, the lesson we can learn from men in this case is that they reserve their kindness for people who they think genuinely deserve it. Sure, most of that revolves around an orifice that they can put their into. However, they reserve that for someone they deem worthy. For example, Vinny and Paulie, sorry, I have to pronounce it like that. Vinny and Paulie found these two women at a club. I think it was in season 2. And they each were really interested in these women, two separate women, by the way. And they're like, these are not like other girls. I really want to take her out. I want to treat her nicely. I want to take her on a date. I don't want to sleep with her right away. And that's exactly what they did. They planned a double date, booked a restaurant, got them flowers, basically treated them with some respect and dignity. And you can tell that they treated these women differently from the grenades or from just the women they pick up at the club, sleep with, and then discard the next day. They classify women based on what they deserve from them. So they make that differentiation between, does this person deserve my niceness? Do they deserve my kindness? Or do they deserve nothing? They make that differentiation all the time. All the time. Granted, it's based on their sexual attraction, like I said. However, they reserve their energy for themselves. They don't go around trying to be nice to people, trying to get them to like them or anything like that. They don't care about that. They're driven by a goal. We know what the goal is. And they're only going to whip out that niceness. You thought I was going to say whip out something else. They're going to whip out that niceness only if they think it's going to suit their goal. And then to take it a step further, the kindness really only comes when they think that person deserves it. So what we can learn from this as women is that we need to be goal-oriented. If you've listened to more than 2 episodes of this show, you've heard me say this many a time. If you've read my book, you've read this 9 million times. But I say this all the time because it's so important. You need to be goal-oriented. So whether it is at work, in a relationship, in a meeting, in a negotiation, whatever it is, you need to be driven by a goal. And you need to work backwards from your goal to understand how you need to get there. What do you need to do? What do you need to achieve? Who do you need to woo? What pot do you need to grease up in order for you to get to that goal? And a lot of the time, niceness is not going to get you anywhere, because in the ultimate pursuit of your goals and your success, being nice does not pay you any dividends. In fact, it usually does the opposite. You get penalized for being nice, because while everyone likes the nice girl, no one respects her. People like nice girls because they're of service to others, they're non-threatening, they uphold the status quo, they let people walk all over them. You're a doormat. I like my doormat because when I come home and my boots are dirty or my shoes are muddy, I'll wipe it on the doormat and then I'm good. I don't have to track that dirt into the house. Obviously, I take my shoes off in the house, but you know what I mean. So yeah, I love my doormat. Sometimes I change it so it's different colors. It's great. Do I respect my doormat? No, I step on it every single day, multiple times. I don't respect it. Do you want to be a doormat? If you do, then there's a great podcast hosted by Victimella. It's called The Most Moral Bitch in the Building. I highly suggest you listen to that. However, you're listening to the baddest bitch in the building, so I'm assuming that you want to be respected and you don't really give two hoots about being liked. So understand that niceness is usually contradictory to your goals. It's usually going to set you back in your life. Because if you're dating, for example, you want the person to respect you. They're not going to respect you if you're nice. They're going to like you, they're going to use you, they're going to get what they want out of you, and then they're going to discard you and find somebody who they can actually respect. The nice girls go home with Vinny or Paulie or Mike at the end of the night, do a little 1-2, and then they kick them out in the morning. The mean girls are the ones they take on dates. Not to say men are the prize, because if men are the prize, then we're probably at the circus. But you see what I mean. And what's very apparent from watching Jersey Shore is how much the patriarchy has conditioned both women and men to think that women are resources to men. And niceness plays a huge role in that. Think about that for a second. I'm going to put on some music and you think about that. Don't skip the music. Actually take some time to reflect. Hey baddies, quick intermission here. As you probably know, this show is entirely independently produced by me. I am the producer, the director, the writer, the researcher, the fact checker, the marketing executive, and the unpaid intern who gets everyone coffee. Not to be confused with the unpaid intern of the patriarchy. And this is independently produced because I am committed to giving you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. And it's because of support from baddies like you who subscribe to my Patreon that I can continue delivering the truth and not censoring myself and tiptoeing around topics that are way too important to ignore, but are kind of scary if you are signed to a label or a production company. And of course, I make it worth your while. I'm not just saying, please go subscribe to my Patreon, man, please. You'll get tons of perks. I have a private phone line that you'll get the number to, and you can call me pretty much anytime. I'll answer if I'm free. And you also get other perks like early and ad-free releases of my episodes, bonus episodes, voting power on my girly laws, handwritten letters from me, and a bunch of other perks. Check it out for yourself. The link is in the show notes. And again, thank you all so much for your continued support and to my continued promise of giving you the whole truth independently without having to tiptoe around anything. Your support means the world to me. All right, back to the show. Here's the thing. Niceness makes you a resource to men and to women. It makes you a resource to other people because it teaches you that being liked is more important than being respected. And the way you become liked is by being of service to other people. So that's why people love the nice girl, because they can use her as much as they want. She's at their disposal, she's at their beck and call. But when it comes to actually being with somebody they respect, they're always going to go for the mean girl. And when I say mean, I don't mean someone who's unkind and a bully. I'm not talking about like, going up to someone being like, hey, your mom's a hoe, your dad's a hoe. I'm talking about somebody who knows her kindness is a privilege. She knows that nice gets you nowhere. And so she treats people with niceness on a surface level because she's pleasant to be around. However, when it comes time to actual things that matter, like her effort, her energy, her time, she only gives that with a big asterisk. She pulled an Uno reverse on the asterisk conditioning that we had. So she only gives that to people who deserve it. And her kindness is always conditional. So she's willing to retract it at any moment. If somebody does something that shows that they're no longer deserving of that kindness, then they're done. They're on the chopping block. And it's very important for women to be mean and be conditional with their kindness because, first of all, it's completely the opposite of what the system wants us to be. It's pulling an Uno reverse on the patriarchy since we're taught that the most important thing for a girl and a woman is to be liked by other people and get external validation. So what we're doing is we're using the conditioning that men have, that being respected is more important and going after your goals is the most important. We're taking that conditioning and applying it to ourselves. The second thing that's really important about being mean is that we've shifted the onus. As I like to say, be an anus and shift the onus. Whereas a nice girl has placed the onus on herself to prove herself to other people, the mean girl has placed the onus on other people. Prove to me that you are worthy of my time. Prove to me that you are worthy of my energy and my kindness. Because as a default, you'll get the niceness, but you won't get the kindness. Because who are you? And you need to understand that as a woman, especially as a pretty, attractive woman, people are going to try to push you and punish you. People are going to try to penalize you for being pretty because they think you didn't deserve it. It's the same thing as when we look down on someone who inherited wealth. Oh, they didn't deserve it. They were just born into a rich family. She didn't do anything to work hard for that money. Okay, great. Well, she had no choice. She got the money. Like, if we could all be heiresses, we would. But we look down on people like that because we're envious of them and we want to punish them. And it's the same thing with your beauty. It's also the same thing with other things that you worked hard to achieve. And I'll give you an example. I've mentioned this multiple times. I have lost more friends in the last year than in the last 10 years combined. And it's because of the fact that I have a very obvious show of success. So when I initially started my podcast and my YouTube and I told some friends about it, they were all excited. They're like, oh, that's cool. That's great. Blah, blah, blah. But I was still working my corporate job. This was a little baby I was nurturing on the side. No one thought anything of it. And then a year later, I quit my job. And when I quit, some people started to see that, okay, wow, this is serious. Like, this is going somewhere. It's not this little side hustle that could fail. And people started dropping like flies. When I released my book and I announced it, one of my friends blocked me on Instagram. Another one of my friends pulled the biggest mean girl stunt I've ever seen an adult pull. Oh my God, we were supposed to go and compete at the National Powerlifting Championships in another city, actually on the other side of the country. And me and a few girls on my powerlifting team were supposed to stay together in an Airbnb. Tell me how. We agreed to do it, and all that was left was to actually plan it and book a place. They booked one without me and didn't tell me. And the ringleader was one of my friends. And mind you, this was a person who did not congratulate me on my book, did not acknowledge it, didn't ask me about it, didn't do anything, never listened to an episode, didn't support, didn't do anything in any way, just pretended that it didn't exist. So remember, while you are a bad bitch, there are a lot of envious, insecure bum bitches still lurking around. And a lot of them are incognito. It be your own people. It truly be your own people. So you don't know who these people are until something big happens. You announce that you launched a business, you announce that you're engaged or whatever, a big event, accomplishment, milestone that triggers their insecurities and makes them realize how small they are. Oh my God, they are going to lash out like you wouldn't believe. Because a lot of people around you are secretly competing with you. Now, what does this have to do with being mean? Well, guess what? These people are going to disrespect you. They're going to try to push you. They're going to try to walk all over you in the same way that these girls left me high and dry and booked a place after we all agreed to stay together. They didn't care. That was a huge sign of disrespect. And I cut every single person off after that. I cut off the ringleader. I cut off everyone. They're completely done. They're dead to me. Now, a nice girl will forgive that. She won't have a backbone to be able to confront those people or have the self-respect to get those people out of her life. She's going to think that it was because of her. What did I do that made these people act this way? Did I say something mean? Did I say something wrong? Oh, did I say something mean in my episode that could have offended her? She put the onus back on her. I mean, the onus was always on her to begin with. A mean girl understands that nothing has to do with her. A mean girl doesn't take anything personally because it was never about you to begin with. So a mean girl understands that what people do is usually driven by their own insecurities, their worldview, their opinions, their everything. Everyone is in their own universe. And for you to think that something that someone did or said was because of you is extremely self-absorbed. When these girls went and booked a place without telling me after we agreed to stay together, that had nothing to do with me. It's not because I smell bad or I'm going to be messy in the Airbnb or anything like that. It's because they wanted to get back at me or punish me for doing something that made them feel crappy about themselves. Instead of looking at me and thinking, oh, wow, she accomplished this, which means I can accomplish something too. No, they looked at that and they thought, she did that, which means I can't do it. And it reminded them of their own smallness rather than of the greatness that they can achieve. So as a bad bitch, you are going to trigger a lot of people's insecurities and envy, especially from a lot of women, because women are socialized to see other women as their competition. And what you need to do is you need to understand that it does not have anything to do with you. In fact, being mean will get you even more respected, even in the eyes of the people who wronged you, because they wouldn't have done all this stuff. They wouldn't have acted a fool if they didn't see you as an intimidating bad bitch to begin with. A bum bitch is always going to be threatened by a bad bitch, and that's not on you. I wish all the bum bitches a speedy recovery, because being insecure and envious and jealous is a disease. Unfortunately, some people are terminal, but other people can be cured. And the way they are cured is by tackling their insecurities, working on themselves, and developing unconditional self-love. So if people lash out at you, just tell them, get well soon. RIP to the chicks that's dying to be me. So remember, be an anus and shift the onus. You don't prove anything to anyone. They have to prove to you that they are deserving of your time and your effort and your energy and of anything more than just basic respect that you would give to another human being. And a great example of this is cats. Cats are so respected. Do they do anything to get respected? No, they just exist. It's her world, and everyone is simply living in it. And cats don't have owners, they have staff. Okay, so I am a staff member to two cats, Aftab and Mahtab, sunshine and moonlight in Persian. I love them so much. I understand why the ancient Egyptians worshipped cats. However, you need to carry yourself like a cat rather than like a dog. And I don't mean that in a pejorative sense. A lot of us are socialized to be like dogs because we're taught that we should just be happy to be here. Oh, I'm just happy to be here. I'll be of service to you. Whatever you need, I'll be here. Why are you acting like a dog? Are you a golden retriever? No, you are a cat. Even if you're a dog person, you're still a cat. Dogs are liked because of their loyalty. However, cat's loyalty is conditional. She's loyal to you if you feed her, if you take care of her and you clean her litter box and you're of service to her. She has a goal, which is to have the best life possible. And if you're able to maintain that goal for her, then she will accept you into her life. A cat's not going to prove anything to you. A cat's already proven that she deserves respect by existing. And what makes you different? Sure, you don't have whiskers, but what makes you different? Nothing. Simply by you existing, you've proven that you deserve the best. Now, you need to work on yourself, pursue your goals, self-actualize, and be the best version of yourself that you can be. It's not just, I'm born a person, I'm born a woman, I'm a great person. You got some work to do. However, the onus is not on you to prove that you deserve good things and you deserve respect. The default is that you deserve respect. So in Girly Loft Power number 27, I encourage the girlies to have a couple different mindsets. The first one was to start thinking, that's not my problem. I still stand by that wholeheartedly. A lot of the time as women, we take on the burden of other people and we absorb other people's problems into our lives. However, most of the time, it's not your problem. So start thinking that. That's not my problem. The second thing I encourage the girlies to do is to say, so what? She doesn't like me? So what? She booked a place without me? So what? She blocked me after I announced my book? So what? She might have been illiterate. And I want to add another phrase to that. And what? Oh, she booked a place without me? And what? I'll book a place by myself. Great, I don't have to share a bathroom. Oh, she listened to my podcast and didn't like it? And what? That means she listened to it. I call that an engaged listener. So start flipping things. When things don't work out, ask yourself, I wonder when the universe is going to show me why this didn't work out. And what does that have to do with being nice versus being mean? Being nice is retroactive thinking. You're thinking in hindsight. Oh, I shouldn't have said that. Oh, did I do this to upset her? Oh, maybe if I didn't do that, he would still go on a date with me. You're always thinking about coulda, shoulda, woulda. When you're mean and you're not concerned about being liked, you're thinking ahead. You're thinking, oh, these girls booked a place without me? Okay, I'm probably better suited to stay in a hotel room by myself. And you know what? I'll book a room at the venue where the competition is actually being held. That's actually what I did. I should mention that I actually didn't end up competing. And this was the first time I dropped out of a meet because my body just wasn't feeling it. And my intuition just told me not to compete this time. And it worked out that way. It literally worked out because if I was locked into an Airbnb with multiple people, I would have no choice. I would have to go there. So it ended up working out for the better. And what? So the mean girl is always looking ahead. She's always looking forward. There's nothing in the past except lessons. But the nice girl is mentally stuck in a location that she physically left because she is driven by the need for likability and by guilt. I did a whole episode on guilt, Girly Law of Power number 7, remove guilt from your emotions. Guilt is a control tactic of the patriarchy, and it goes hand in hand with niceness. I won't get too much into that because that's a whole discussion in and of itself, but I'll end on this note. Ask yourself, am I doing this because I think it's what's expected of me and it's going to make people like me? Or am I doing this because I genuinely want to? All right, baddies, I'm going to close on that note. If you enjoyed this episode, make sure to give it a thumbs up or give the podcast a 5-star rating. And if you want to get a copy of my book that has pissed off so many people, insecure people, and fragile men on the internet, you can get a digital or a signed paperback directly from me, or you can get it on Amazon. Everything is in the show notes. In the meantime, don't forget that you are the baddest bitch in any building that you step foot in. Until next time, stay bad. Love you. Bye. Shout out to all the bad bitches supporting on Patreon. Kate, Danny, Lindsay, Emberly, Brittany, Shara, Melissa. I don't know why I thought I could do this in one breath. Adriana, Mina, Gemma, Katya, May, Naomi, Nilufar, Adelaide, Nadia, Faith, Amy, Melinda, Sophia M, Sophia K, Jada, Amara, and Kat. Thank you all so much for your support.